2026 kicks off with a matinee matchup against the Broad Street Bullies in the next gen game, and the kids are all right in oil country. We get you set for the Oilers of the Flyers on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing well out there, staying warm and driving safe. If you're on the roads, it is the pregame show as the Oilers and Flyers tangle today down at Rogers Place. Tom Gazzola, Ben Thomson with you. Matt Kassian is our game analyst today. We'll also be joined by Siobhan Nolan from the Hockey News to give us the scoop on the Philadelphia Flyers. Edmonton comes into this one 2015-6. Philly 2012-7. We have passed the midway point in the season. Benny Thompson.
How about that?
How about that?
It's flown by. I
know.
can't believe it.
I know.
Reed Wilkins would be very mad at me.
Why is that?
He hates it when people say, I can't believe it, and then they mention a time.
I can't believe it.
Like right before Christmas, he was like, when all the people say, I can't believe it's almost Christmas. He's like, well, it's time doesn't move slower or faster for anyone. I'm like, classic Reed. I'm like, all right.
Classic Reed. We'll see Reed Wilkins on the post-game show. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around. From turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors, they are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. We would love for you to join the conversation. Hit us up on the text line, 780-218-9999. Jump into the nasty chat as well if you're watching over on YouTube. We had a great Hello Hockey today. Big thank you to Jackie Redmond. Big thank you to David Pagnotta. Good information, lots of fun, great storytelling, and we appreciate everybody who watched and listened on Hello Hockey. And now we keep the party going on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pre- and post-game shows on a busy Saturday in the National Hockey League. 13 games on the slate. Edmonton getting this one out of the way very early on. And we will get to starting lineups. We'll also get to your injury report brought to you by Advanced Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy. And, of course, Cass will be chiming in a second here. All right, let's dive into the lineups really quickly. Connor McDavid between Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. We anticipate Vasily Podkolzin being good to go for this afternoon's game. He was sick yesterday. Andrew Mangiapane was skating with Draisaitl and Ross Slavic, and then the rookie line, the kid line, Savoy, Howard, and Hudson. We'll see if we get to see or we experience them for the entirety of a game. I think that would be appreciated. Henrique with Janmark and Frederick. If there's any changes during warm-up where Mangiapane slides in, we'll let you know. And then on defense, we anticipate Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Regula, Stasny with Emberson. As for the Philadelphia Flyers, Christian Dvorak between Trevor Zegras and Travis Konechny. Sean Couturier with Denver Barkey and Owen Tippett. Noah Cates between Matvei Michkov and Bobby Brink. Rodrigo Abels with Carl Grunstrom and Garnet Hathaway. On defense, Cam York with Travis Sanheim. Emil Andre with Jamie Drysdale. Nick Seeler with Rasmus Ristolainen. Your starting goalies for today, 33-year-old Calvin Pickard, 4-5-2 with a .369 goals against average, .874 save percentage in 14 games this season. 2-1-0 lifetime versus Philly, .293 GAA, .893 save percentage in those three appearances. At the other end of the rake, it'll be 28-year-old Dan Vladar, 14-6-3 on the year, .240 GAA, .910 save percentage in 23 games this year. Pretty good season thus far for Vladar. He has a 3-2-1 record versus the Oilers, .234 goals against average, .923 save percentage in 6 appearances versus the Oil. And now we get to the Advanced Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You have a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game at Advanced Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today, www.advantagesportmed.ca, or call 780-460-9977. For the Oilers, Tristan Jarry, IR, lower body. Jake Wallman, LTIR, lower body. Kasperi Kapanen, LTIR, knee. For the Flyers, Tyson Forster, IR, arm. Ryan Ellis, IR, back. He's done for the season again. Unfortunately, he was a pretty good defenseman for a while in Nashville before going over to Philly. That is your Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. Again, book your assessment today, www.advantagesportmed.ca, or call 780-460-9977. 99-77. Let's welcome in our game analyst, Matt Kassian, who is heading to the rink today for the next gen game. There's going to be the kids taking over the PA announcements, the anthem, the rinkside reporter work, the in-house stuff. The DJ booth will be populated with the young ones. They are the next generation. And fittingly, Cass, you have your next generation going to the game with you, don't you?
I do have my next generation going to the game with me. So my oldest daughter, Amri, who is very embarrassed that I just said her name as she's here beside me, is going with me. And I figured, hey, this would be a good one. A little bit of an odd time for a hockey game to start at 1:30 in the afternoon, but a good opportunity for those kids. I'm excited for it. She's excited for it. Tom, I know you are excited for it. And we're just we're ready to go.
Seriously, at first when they rolled out this next gen theme in the NHL, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's good. And then you get these kids in these situations. I'm not going to lie to you. I remember being at one covering the Oilers and Habs, and it was in Montreal. They were great. Mm-hmm. The ones that have happened here, they have been great. And there's a good vibe. The kids do a great job. Their personalities come out. It's actually quite pleasant, quite fun. And I'm looking forward to being down at the rink in a little bit when we finish up here in studio. Okay, Cass, let's get to Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting has been a consistent top producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 18 years. He's community driven and understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, damonbunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. As Cass embarrasses his oldest daughter by mentioning her name on the radio, let's go to point number one. The rookie line. All the kids today, Cass.
All the kids. And how fitting is that it's a kids takeover?
Fantastic.
And we have the line of youths that's out there. I'm excited for this. I know there's some people that are maybe a little bit nervous about Matt Savoy playing center, but we forget that's the position he's played really up until the NHL. Like he is a natural centerman. That's where he's played most of his hockey life. So I'm excited for it. Now, the only knock I would have against this line is they're potentially smaller, or not potentially, they are smaller. They are. And so we have to go, okay, are they going to be able to use their speed effectively enough that the size doesn't become an issue? You know, this isn't a line that's out there running people over. It is a line that's supposed to outthink and outskate the opposition. So I'm super interested to see it. I hope we get a good amount of time with it. Like, if this thing doesn't work the first shift, I hope it's not blown up. Yeah. Like, let's give it a couple periods. Let's give it a couple games, really. But I'm excited for it. I think there's a lot of potential there. Howard and Hudson have both been just on absolute fire in Bakersfield, and then you're putting them with another young player that thinks the game very creatively in Matt Savoy. So I think a fun potential combination here, and guys, I'm here for it. Like, I'm excited to see it. And again, just fitting that it's the kids takeover day, and we have this youths line as our third line starting anyways for the game for the Oilers.
Oh, so much youths involved in this game this afternoon. Okay, so just an update on Hudson and Howard. Hudson was named the AHL Rookie of the Month yesterday. Howard, the AHL Player of the Month. That's something. I think that's significant. Coach Mike already texting in 780-218-9999 says, is it being overblown, the hype around these guys, or is it legit that we should be hyping them up? Where do they project long term? Cass, when guys are young and they're kind of bouncing between the NHL and the AHL, but they're showing you that they're really, really, really good at the AHL level, you can only keep them down there so long, right?
You can. I mean, they're forcing the issue, right? They're forcing the issue. They're not. This wasn't like they had one goal in the last month. Like, these guys have been playing incredibly well, and that's what you want from young players. I think we just in Edmonton, we still carry scars from the decade of darkness and from having no prospects down there, and from bringing up players too quickly and having, if we think back to the other youth line or the rookie line or the kid line from years past, like that's where our minds go when we hear that. But this isn't a group where it's like, they're not all 19. There's offensive output.
Yeah.
And so to sit and to say, hey, or to have expectations that they're going to produce today at the same level they've been producing the last month in the AHL, well, yeah, that's probably not realistic. But to look at how they're playing and to say, hey, this is a line or a group of players in Hudson and Howard that have potential to bring you offense at the NHL level, I think that's completely fair. I mean, if players don't score in the AHL, it's fairly typical they're probably not going to be big scores in the NHL. Now, being big scores in the AHL doesn't always mean that it will translate. We see that happen frequently as well. But at the least, it means that potential is there. That ability to think the game creatively and offensively is there. And we've seen that in tiny little spurts from both of those guys when they've been up before. Like, they've had moments that they weren't entirely consistent. They weren't playing a ton of minutes. And so one of the good things about having them in the AHL is they can play those type of minutes to let that creativity and that skill and that confidence blossom. And then you hopefully bring them up and put them in an environment where, yes, they play less minutes, but they still have that same capacity and confidence in their play.
Cass, how many minutes would be ideal for those three, that line, a combination of them? Maybe they get split up. I don't know. Whatever happens, probably dictated by the scenario that's happening in the game. But what would you like to see, and what do you think is ideal minute-wise for those guys?
It'll be game dictated. Savoy probably going to see some penalty kill time, maybe some PP2 time, and you could see some mixing of it. But I would be happy with 12 to 14 minutes for those guys tonight. Game one. I think that would be healthy. If that's the 5-on-5 minutes. Now, more than that, I think would be great. It's going to depend on the game. It's going to depend, are they in front or behind? If Edmonton's leading out of the gate with this one, the minutes will be higher. If they're losing out of the gate, kind of depends on what type of chemistry we see from the line. Like, are they producing chances offensively or not? And depends on the big boys too. So there's so many factors, but I would be happy with 12 to 14 minutes. Anything over 14, I'd be like, yeah, they're looking pretty good here.
Hopefully there's a confidence spillover from the work that they've done in the AHL. Ryan from Sask texting in just to follow up on this. Having last change is an advantage to have with this younger line. If coach commits to playing them more than 10 minutes a night, there's opportunity to ensure the right matchups to allow them to be successful. We'll be interested to see where their zone starts end up at the end of the game. Good point, Ryan from Sask, as we move along here on Game Changers with Matt Kassian. Cass, talk it time.
Ooh, Rick Tocchet's got this Philly team playing like a Rick Tocchet team. Reminiscent a little bit of the Vancouver Canucks in yesteryear with Tocchet. Like, they're playing a structured game, and you see it as evidence kind of up and down their lineup statistically for how this Philly group is playing 5-on-5, where they're playing tight. They're playing tight defensively. They're not taking too much chance offensively. They're really in a grind you down, play responsible type of mentality. That, if Edmonton's able to crack it open, I think it goes well for Edmonton. If Edmonton gets frustrated and starts forcing things, it goes well for Philly, in my opinion. So it's a very Tocchet-like team, maybe not necessarily in personnel, but in play style. Certainly right now he has them playing that game. So it's I think an interesting matchup always for Edmonton against Rick Tocchet teams, where they have that steady defensive capacity and that shut you down mentality. And for Edmonton at home here, as it was just mentioned, yes, you have last change. You got to deal with that stifling play of the Philadelphia Flyers. So a good challenge, I think, for Edmonton, especially coming off of a game against Boston where you probably played better than the final outcome was in that game. But it could be the same type of thing where you get at times stifled. Now, it was Swayman with the in particular from a goaltending standpoint that really did. Vladar maybe not on the same level, but as a team, Philly tries to stifle you, and if you get caught in that same rhythm, they can eat you for lunch.
This is my curiosity, guys. When you look at Rick Tocchet as a coach and you see how well he was in his first year with the Canucks, they won the Pacific Division, challenged the Oilers to 7 games in that second round series. But then the next year they fell off a map, and it was a disaster last year, and so bad that he actually didn't want a contract extension. He walked away. I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's not a Rick Tocchet thing. It's more of a Vancouver Canucks are a mess thing.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty evident. But Cass, and Benny chime in on this too, is he similar to Daryl Sutter where he wants you to go 100% all day, every day, and it wears you down? Or do you think he has a better touch and feel for that? I'll throw it to Cass first, and we'll get Benny's thoughts too.
Yeah, it's hard to say because he didn't stay in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he would have stayed another year or two, we maybe would have a better feel for it. And on top of that, by all accounts, it was a pretty toxic room in the first place. Like they got issues in Vancouver, which is maybe he saw where things were going, was like, I'm out, get me out of here before it goes sideways. So it's hard to say. Sometimes coaches, when they have that rough edge, you get like 2 or 3 years, right? And then players start tuning you out and you know, you get the most out of guys for a year or two, and then they just can't deal with the constant, I don't want to say badgering, but just the demand. It can wear on guys, particularly skilled players. So my answer is we got to wait and see here. We have to wait and see. Now, my observation, and from what I've heard, is that he's not like a Tortorella, you know, where he's going to be that type of demanding and almost cruel demanding. It'd be more in line with like a Rod Brindamore, where he's been in Carolina for a couple years now, and that team is still going. Now the question is, okay, if you play at that level for a full 82 game season, you know, how much is going to be in the tank to get out of that first round and into the second round and deep in playoffs? I don't know. So it remains to be seen. My understanding, though, is that he's not quite at that same, like he does it and he pushes guys, but it doesn't have the same sharp edges as a Tortorella.
Nice.
I think that's like, it's hard to know what exactly the type of coach he is without being in the room, but just from observing, hard-nosed, expects a lot from his players, but can get that out of some guys. There's been critiques of him with not catering to the skill guys and all that, but I'm looking at this Philadelphia Flyers team. For one, they're 20-12-7. I don't know anyone that expected that for the Philadelphia Flyers this year. I had them closer to the lottery than a playoff team, and they're currently in a playoff spot. Yeah. So that's a huge win for Tocchet. But if you look at the stats, though, a guy like Trevor Zegras, a guy who was given up on in Anaheim, this guy can't play a 200-foot game. He's lost his point touch, all this stuff. He's point per game right now, 39 points in 39 games. Tocchet must have some type of relationship with Zegras to get that out of him. And I think he's been better on his own end too. So I look at guys like that, I'm like that's a good coach. If he can bring that out of a guy, like kind of like Zegras walked into the league with a whole bunch of potential and obviously the crazy moves and all that. Yep. And then he kind of just went downhill for him after that first season, but it seems like he's found some new life in Philadelphia. I can't imagine that, you know, there's no credit to Tocchet here. Like I think he helps out a lot with this team, and they just play a certain structure that, he's going to demand a lot from players, but I think he also allows the skill to take over for some guys as well, and I think you're seeing that with Trevor Zegras. Absolutely.
All right, it's Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Game Changers is always brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Point number 1, the rookie line. Point number 2, Tocchet time. Cass, point number 3, what time is it? It's time for lunch.
It's time for lunch. What time? That's throwing it to the kid thing again. What time is it? It's time for lunch from a kid's TV show.
I don't know that.
Weird. Yeah, it's all right. You don't. Bubble Guppies. It's a good
of course, Bubble Guppies.
Yeah, Bubble Guppies, the classic. The weird game days, right? 1:30 p.m. for guys. It's that in between. You should be eating lunch. You maybe are having your pregame nap. Like, it's just not your normal time to be playing a hockey game. And again, against a stingy Philadelphia team, pretty important for the Edmonton Oilers to be awake and ready to go here. Like, they're just weird game days, just like it is for all of us to be watching hockey at 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon or watching NHL hockey at that time. So that preparation and that focus to be ready to go, I think, is even more important than normal, because it's an odd game time and you're playing that stingy Tocchet type team here for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, being prepped and ready, guys, right from the start of this thing and not having to feel your way into it is super, super important.
Cass, what are we getting for lunch with the kiddo?
I don't know. We got to see. I'll head down. We'll kind of sneak into the alumni lounge and see what they got there. I think she's hoping there's an Alfredo pasta that she loves.
Nice.
I'm hoping for some petahe, some pierogies would be great. But we shall see. We will see when we get in there. She already told me she does not want popcorn.
Okay.
She absolutely does not want popcorn. She is even telling me right now.
No popcorn.
She said, "Dad, I want no popcorn at all. Popcorn is yucky and gross." So we probably won't do popcorn.
Okay. Ask her that you have her there because you're coming over for the post-game show. We're doing it from my place. What does she like for snacks? I'll go pick some up on my way.
Oh, she's what do you like for snacks, honey? She says cookies, but we'll probably have cookies at the game. So no, she's pretty flexible. She likes a lot of different stuff.
Okay, well, just text me and I'll have it ready to go so that she's not bored out of her mind on the post-game show. Okay, good job, Cass.
Sounds good. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, have fun. There you go. There is Matt Kassian, our game analyst with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. I love that. It's all about the kids today. This is a rare afternoon game on a weekend for the Edmonton Oilers at home.
Yeah.
I remember when I was working for the team, Benny, it was in the old building, granted, and there was a lot of different staff for sure. But they generally, the organization did not like home games on an afternoon.
Yeah.
Beer sales are down.
That would make sense, actually.
Beer sales are dollar bills, yo. However,
especially with the price they are at right now.
This is a special market.
Yeah.
It's the weekend. It's kind of the end of the holiday season. So I think even though there's going to probably be a lot of kids there, probably beer and alcohol sales will do well.
Oh, they'll still do fine.
I'm sure they'll do.
People will get into it early.
I know a $19 beer isn't the same as like a $9 popcorn.
Yep.
But I'm sure there's going to be a very profitable afternoon for OEG.
I think they do all right.
Yeah, they'll be just fine. They'll be just fine. All right, you can send us a text, 780-218-9999. Jump into the nasty chat as well. Both of these teams, the Oilers and the Flyers, coming off of significant losses. The Oilers 6-2 the other night on New Year's Eve, and then Philly in Calgary dropped a 5-1 decision, so they should be a little bit ornery on both sides. Do we have clips ready to go?
Oh, yeah, let me grab that real quick.
Okay, I was just double checking there. Let's get to your game day odds check in the meantime while Benny gets that. And then Siobhan Nolan will be joining us as well at the top of the hour, and she'll give us the scoop on the Flyers. Of course, your game day odds check brought to you by Play Alberta. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Safe and secure. The revenue generated from Play Alberta is redirected into Alberta's General Revenue Fund, which is used to support programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. You can hit the promo codes EST50, $50 deposit for a $50 free bet. EST Casino on the casino side, $50 deposit gets you a $50 casino bonus. And then a $50 deposit gets you a $50 free bet if you punch in EST Sports. All right, your money line. Last time I checked, I did about a half hour ago. I updated the game day odds check. Edmonton minus 172. Pretty good on home ice. Philly plus 145. The over-under set at 6.5. The over at minus 108. The under at minus 122. That is your game day odds check. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready. I'll read texts in the meantime. Ryan from Sass says, beating a bit of a dead horse here, but the other question I have is what will be their most common D pair? My guess is Bouchard and Ekholm, but that means one of the big lines might sacrifice a bit of time with the top pairings. Yeah, because you want to get... I don't know. I'm not in a good place. Like, when I think of this Oilers defense, I'm encouraged by what we've seen from Spencer Stastny. I really am.
Really surprised.
Yeah.
How good he's been.
Regula is a work in progress, and I know people are kind of down on him, and he has made a lot of mistakes. He's 45, 46 games into his NHL career. That's early. Mm-hmm. There's going to be peaks and valleys. There's going to be boo-boos. We exist in a time and an era in Oilers hockey where boo-boos are not
accepted.
Not accepted. That's a very upfront way of saying it. Yeah, I was gonna say tolerated. Maybe would have been the term I was gonna go with, but accepted is right. It's pretty cutthroat, and that's because this team's in its window to win, so it's understandable. But it's hard because they wanted to go young, and they did on the back end. They thought they had something when they plucked Regula off of waivers from the Bruins. They're trying to get that player to develop, and the way to do that is to play. They decided that the right place to play was up here, and it comes with its painful moments, let's just say. I think of that Lomberg goal a couple of nights ago in Calgary, and Lomberg, talk about pizzas and this and that. That's a harsh lesson in the NHL. So, I look at the back end and I go, well, you got to learn somehow. And when there's not a lot of room for error, it doesn't sit well with the fan base. And I get it. Okay. Speaking of youths, we're going to go to one of them. Here he is returning to the lineup for the first time in a couple of months. Ike Howard, as he and Quinn Hudson doing everything they can to get the call up, and then the team finally obliged. Here he is.
Being sent down in November and build on it. There's a lot of guys would go down upset or complaining and say, why am I going back down?
Yeah, I was just excited to get down there and start a different chapter in my pro career, and I think it was great. Everyone down in that locker room was awesome. The coaching staff, they made it pretty easy to mesh with that group quickly, and it was awesome.
And you find that the league is a little better than people give them credit for, the American League. Everybody says, it should be in the NHL, but the American League's a pretty good development league to play with big minutes and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a great development league. Obviously I was getting a lot more ice time, a lot of looks on special teams, things like that, which is great, which is what I wanted. And I give credit. I think it's a great league, and spending the last 5 or 6 weeks there was a great experience, and nothing bad to say.
How do you feel, I guess, different or getting called up this time compared to the start of the season? Just getting the experience in the NHL, having that AHL experience now, how do you feel this time compared to the start of the NHL season?
Yeah, it feels different in a way. It's just way more in the flow of the season. Played a lot of games now to where it kind of feels like the call-up's different than my first NHL game. There's just less emotion. Feels more like another game, which I think is good. Just go out there and play hockey. It's the same thing. So obviously I was still really excited, but it feels like I have more experience now and maybe more calmness coming back up.
What about the possibility of playing with Hudson and Savoy? Maybe tomorrow, you guys are on the same line here today.
Yeah, that would be exciting. Both those guys are great players, fast, shoot the puck, pass. I think that'd be young too. So I think that would be fun, and I think we'd have potential to do some pretty good things out there.
Isaac, just going back to your time in the NHL, you were just named Player of the Month in December, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Where would you say your game has grown the most? Where did those extra reps really kind of help?
Yeah, I think a big thing was just getting in the flow of the pro hockey down there and playing games consistently, and learning to hold on to the puck more, find more of my game, and making little plays, passing, shooting. I think just kind of more calm with the puck, and maybe even just more confident, getting a lot of shifts and getting in the flow of games. So it was great.
What can you tell us about the strengths of Quinn Hudson and his performance as of late?
Yeah, he's a shoot-first guy. He's great at getting open, and obviously he's got a great release and shot, and finds the back of the net a lot, and he can make plays as well, off the rush and 3-on-2s, things like that. So it's been fun to play with him.
How does it work with two shooters?
I was going to say, Szymanski never shoots that.
Szymanski never shoots it, which is good, and then sometimes bad when he has open looks. But I like to do a little bit of both, to be honest. If you watch the games, obviously I love scoring goals and shooting, but sometimes I'll pass up a shot to find a better shot, whatever. But it's been good.
All right, that was Isaac Howard. Ike having a good season down in Bakersfield. 10 goals, 13 assists, 23 points through 16 games over the last couple of months. 2 penalty minutes, a +12. His time in the NHL earlier in the season, 17 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist in a lesser role, 10 penalty minutes and -2. So we'll see if that confidence carries into this call-up alongside Quinn Hudson and Matt Savoy. All right, it is the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show here on Edmonton Sports Talk. You can text us 780-218-9999. Taco texting in says, Vander Kane ruined Regula. Hasn't been the same since. Yeah, that was a big hit in game 2 of the year. You can jump into the chat over on YouTube as well. And we welcome in our next guest. It is Siobhan Nolan from the Hockey News, who's going to give us the scoop on the Philadelphia Flyers. Siobhan, thanks for joining us. Happy New Year. How's it going around Philly?
Happy New Year. Thanks for having me. They've been on the West Coast for what feels like forever now. So we've just been hanging out, staying up late to watch the game.
It's the next gen game here, and they don't do a lot of afternoon games here in Edmonton. Usually it's nighttime, and especially on Saturdays, it's late games. So it's very bizarre, and you're going to hear a lot of screaming kids this afternoon on the broadcast. So I guess the time is fitting. Yeah, exactly. But they're going to watch a couple of teams that should be pissed off about their last time out. Edmonton loses 6-2 to Boston. Philly gets beat up pretty bad at the Saddledome 5-1. In your opinion, what went wrong down in Calgary?
I mean, they are not great at the second game of back-to-backs. That's been a pretty historic problem for them. So you kind of go into a game like that being a little uneasy, but I think they just looked kind of tired, kind of disconnected. They had to have completely different defensive pairings because Emile Andre was healthy scratched at the last minute. So I think that was a big adjustment for them as well. And they just didn't look completely put together. I don't know if it was just exhaustion from the travel and the schedule and everything, but it was just one of those weird performances where everyone just didn't look fully with each other. Like it just looked very disjointed. And against a team like Calgary, you'd think that they'd kind of be able to find some weak spots to exploit, but that just clearly was not the case.
Yeah, this 5-game road trip. So far, they go to Vancouver, they win that one. Or pardon me, they start in Chicago, they win that one. Then they go to Seattle, they drop that game. Seattle looks like it's resurgent now after people thought the season was over there. Then they go into Van, they win that game 6-3, go to Calgary. Like you said, back-to-back nights. The schedule has been brutal for pretty much the entire NHL. And then now they get a little bit of a break, and then they come into Edmonton for an afternoon matchup. Are they good on getaway days? Because now they see the end in sight. They're going to come home, and maybe they had a little bit of time to lick their wounds and reassess things. I guess an Edmonton team that has been pretty up and down this year.
Yeah, the one thing about the Flyers this season is that they very, very rarely have gone on losing streaks. They'll lose a game and then they're able to snap back in the next one and look like a really good team. So that's been a talking point for them. Rick Tocchet has said we're a resilient team. We know how to identify our mistakes and we know how to, sit back and look at them and correct them. So that's been a big strength of theirs. And I definitely think having the day off to just recuperate and kind of reset will help them as well, because they're a hungry team and they don't believe in the measuring stick games. They don't want people asking, oh, do you guys think that you can skate with the big teams? Because for them, they're like, we know that we can, and we've proven that we can. So I think they're just taking every game as it comes, and they've been really good about not letting losses or bad performances really get to them. Like they have very short memories, and that's been definitely very helpful for them this season.
Siobhan Nolan joining us from the Hockey News as we get you set for the Oilers and the Flyers. You mentioned Rick Tocchet, and it's his first year behind the bench as the head coach in Philly. What is his impact like? What's your assessment of how the team's reacted to him so far?
Everyone loves Rick Tocchet. You will never meet a person in the organization that has a bad thing to say about him. He's such a personable guy. He's very easy to talk to. He's very, laid back. But for more to that, the thing that always strikes me is, obviously he played for the Flyers. He is a legend amongst, Flyers fans. And so he really understands what it means to be a Flyers player. And he understands now as a coach the kind of pressure that these players are under. And he understands the demands of the city. And he understands, they haven't been where they want to be the past couple of seasons. and now they want to try and rebuild and get better. So he really understands on a personal level that unique pressure of playing in Philadelphia, and I think the players have responded to that really well. They're texting him for video sessions, like they feel really comfortable just asking him for help, and he's really good about communicating with them and building relationships with them. So it hasn't been a long time, but you can definitely see that he's made a really positive impact so far.
Nice. Yeah. Longtime Flyer. Yeah. He's got that Broad Street bully mentality, and it's working out for him for sure. I don't blame him for getting out of Vancouver either, because that situation was less than ideal. Okay, Siobhan, I have to ask you about this. You look at the goaltenders, right? You got Samuel Ersson, you got Dan Vladar. Vladar's played the majority of the games. Vladar's playing today against the Oilers. Calvin Pickard at the other end of the rink, who hasn't had a particularly great season either. But what has worked for these two goalies? Because you look at them and you go, well, they're not really stars. Vladar was a good backup in his time in Calgary. I know he bounced around a little bit, but how have these two handled the net and the crease in Philly?
It's really great that we got Vladar, because for the longest time, Sam Ersson was the starting goalie. He got thrown into that situation kind of very suddenly, and he had to shoulder a big majority of the games back in 2024. And he was, 22, 23 years old, and he had no experience doing that. So it was just a lot, to ask of him. And unfortunately, in that time, he did kind of have this rotating cast of characters as his backup goalie. So the workload was not very evenly distributed. And again, he's a young guy. He was still feeling out his way in the NHL level. So now that Vladar is here, and Vladar is very experienced, and Vladar has really thrived with the Flyers. He looks very comfortable. He, has made some really just insane saves, and he's integrated into the group very well. So I think that consistency is a huge thing. And just the fact that, Rick Tocchet has proven that he is trying to give them, obviously it can't exactly be 50-50, but give them a more equal distribution of the games. And, he'll play, Sam Ersson back-to-back, and then he'll do Vladar back-to-back. And if one guy is kind of riding a hot hand, then they'll stick with him for a little bit. But we haven't yet had a guy that's played, a really long run of games. It's been very evenly distributed, so guys have time to rest and they have time to recalibrate. And from what we've seen, they're very supportive of each other, and they interact really well, and they have a good connection. So I think that they've found a really good, solid tandem where it's not just, okay, one guy's taking the majority of the games and he has to shoulder all the work, and the other guy's just kind of in there occasionally. So I think that's the big turnaround for the goalies this season.
Yeah, Vladar is going into what will be his 24th game of the year. You got Ersson, who's played 15 thus far as the Flyers play their 40th game of the 25-26 season. We've got Siobhan Nolan with us from the Hockey News in Philly, covering the Flyers as we get ready for today's game. An interesting move was Trevor Zegras being picked up by the Flyers. How is he integrated into this group, and who are some other guys that we should keep an eye out for when we watch Philly today?
I mean, Trevor Zegras was never going to have a problem integrating into the Flyers team. He already had some friends in the locker room with Cam York and Jamie Drysdale, but he's such a funny, outgoing guy that, it's not hard for him to make friends. But, his teammates love him, Tocchet loves him, and I'm really glad to see that he's found the Trevor Zegras that we know and love now that he's in Philly, because he did have those struggles with Anaheim with the injuries and the inconsistencies, and to see him just really find his flow and find his comfortability and elevate himself into a really great hockey player, and not just, the guy that does the Michigans. I think that's been really great to see.
Yes.
Like he's still very creative and stylistic, but he's very good at playing the team game now. And he said before, he doesn't want to be just known as like this Instagram hockey player. Like he wants to be known as a genuinely good hockey player. And I think that he's really starting to prove that, which is really nice to say.
Yeah. Well, I instantly think of kids watching clips on Instagram and wanting to emulate those clips. And that's what this generation has kind of become. Yeah. My producer, Ben, is shaking his head. Shut up, Ben. That's exactly what they want to become. And Trevor Zegras wanting to be a complete hockey player is a breath of fresh air as a younger player. So thank you, Siobhan, for bringing that up. That is a fantastic thing.
Yeah, of course.
Benny's laughing and smirking there in the corner in the producer's chair. All right, I have to ask you this. So the Flyers 4-3-3 in the last 10 games. You talk about this road trip. It's kind of lingered on, obviously, and it's tough going out west. It's tough going out east for Western Conference teams too. How would you define the Flyers' identity through the first half of this season?
If I could really sum it up in one word, I think the big thing has been their depth. They've discovered a really amazing, range of scoring across all four lines. Like the fourth line lately, especially Carl Grundstrom, who was just kind of like this AHL call-up that we kind of expected to just, fill some gaps in the team. He's been insane. Like he's scored the most amount of goals in the team since he's been up here from December 9th. So that's a really serendipitous thing that I don't think anyone really expected. But, if you look across the different goal totals of, guys, it's very even. You have, a bunch of guys sitting at 10, 11 goals, but it's across all four lines. And you have so many guys that are contributing and know when to pass instead of shoot. And, you just know that you can depend on every single line, and you can depend on so many different combinations on those lines because guys are able to find that chemistry really quickly because it's such a tight-knit group. So I think that's definitely been a huge strength for them. They're not relying on, just Trevor Zegras, or in past seasons, Travis Konechny's carried a lot of the, offensive responsibility, but now it's a lot more evenly distributed and there's a lot more trust amongst everyone. So that no matter who's on the ice, there's a potential to get a good goal.
Sounds like balance. I think that's something a lot of teams want to have. Absolutely. Hey, Siobhan, thanks for hopping on today. Really appreciate it. Happy New Year once again, and we'll definitely have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me.
There you go. There's Siobhan Nolan from the Hockey News in Philly covering the Flyers. Good stuff like balance, a rejuvenated Trevor Zegras, wants to be a complete hockey player, Ben Thomson, not just an Instagram /
Why can't he? Why can't he just hit Michigans
sensation
all the time and dipsy doodle around everyone?
Well, when Siobhan said that, it immediately reminded me of something my good friend Rogan Dean, who's the Edmonton Oil Kings equipment manager, told me once. I don't know, I can't remember the kid's name. He's an up and coming phenom that's going to be in the WHL soon. He was in Edmonton.
Okay, yeah.
And he got a tour of the Oil Kings locker room, and there's a couple of Oil Kings players working out, and they're like, "That's the TikTok kid." So I thought of that when Siobhan was mentioning Zegras is the TikTok kid because of what he's done and how he's become so well known. But he's also a good player, and the fact that he's acknowledging I want to be a good hockey player, not just a flashy Instagram, TikTok player, which has become a thing. It has legitimately become a thing. I remember a few years ago when that was starting to rise and it became a talking point. I'm like, that sounds so stupid. And then Belsey told me, he's like, well, all of my kids, they don't watch games.
They watch clips.
They watch clips. And what clips do they see? Big hits, big fights, big saves, great plays.
Yeah.
But the stuff that leads up to those is kind of left behind. And what do we hear from guys like Johnny Boychuk, who's in hockey development now for the New York Islanders? What's the common theme we get from guys in hockey ops and player development?
They need to round out their games. They've lost the IQ when it comes to playing a 200-foot game.
Yes.
And understanding how hockey's played outside of just trying to be a one-man show and
making
try to do all
sick
these
plays.
Yeah, making sick plays.
So that to me is a good indicator.
Yeah.
When Siobhan says, well, Zegras wants to be a good player.
Good for him.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
His career was starting to fall down a little bit, and the Flyers took a flyer on him.
Nice.
And it worked out. He's got 39 points, 39 games. This was kind of the guy that I think I was hoping he'd become. But
he had moments, right?
Yep. And he's reunited with his buddy in Jamie Drysdale, and seems like things are going pretty well in Philadelphia. So I'm happy for him because he opened up about his time in Anaheim and said sometimes he'd have seasonal depression. Like,
That's weird.
I know
when he talked about that.
It was very odd. And I understand where he's coming from though, where it's like in Anaheim, it's the same weather all the time. There's nothing to look forward to. It's
quite
like,
pleasant.
It's not like it's here where it's like we're sitting in -20 snowy weather.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the summer when it's gonna be +25. It's like there's nothing to look forward to.
Yep.
And there's no change. So I understand what he means by that, but of course, living in Anaheim, so it would be pretty nice. But
That would be.
yeah, he's in Philadelphia, closer to home, and playing with his buddy in Drysdale and Philadelphia. And it seems like a system he's got that works well for him. It's good that he's changing his career. Guy who hasn't been great though in Philadelphia, Matvei Michkov.
It's only his second year.
It's only his second year, but you would expect, like, he was
There's hype.
in that Bedard draft. People were saying, like, if he wasn't, this Russian player that was, there's the KHL stuff. If he didn't have all that around him, he might have gone past Bedard. Like, Bedard had a lot of hype as well, but Michkov was easily number 2. Falls down to Philadelphia, but he's had a rough second year in the NHL. But Bedard also did as well. Now Bedard's starting to take off. So it's definitely not a write-off for him, but it's been a little bit rough with him. So I wonder if he can turn things around this season.
Yeah, you know what? I'd have patience with him. I noticed that going through the lineup and getting ready for the show today and doing prep, that his season wasn't maybe as sterling as some would hope, but I wouldn't give up on a guy like that just yet.
Yeah.
So much potential in front of him. All right. You can text us 780-218-9999. Jump into the nasty chat if you're watching over on YouTube. It's the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show here on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Oilers 10-4-3 at home this season, had their 3-game winning streak at home snapped by the Boston Bruins. And then the Flyers 9-7-3 on the road. They're coming off a 5-1 loss to the Calgary Flames at the Dome on New Year's Eve. Now, there's some interesting stats, just historic ones between the Oilers and the Flyers. Here in Edmonton, Edmonton's dominated Philly. And all time, this is both home and away. The Oilers are 39-37-3 with 8 ties against the Flyers. However, at home, 25-10-1 with 6 ties all time at home versus Philly. And then Edmonton's won 3 straight, 5 of the last 6 home games against the Flyers, 8-2 at home in the last 10 games. And then overall, Oilers have won 3 of the last 4 games against Philly, 6-3-1 overall in the last 10 games against the Flyers. The Oil 5-4-1 versus Metro Division teams. The Flyers 4-3-2 versus Pacific Division teams. And like this stretch here in Edmonton, going back to like 2015, the Flyers have only won twice here. They only come here 2 times or 1 time a year.
Was last year the year where McDavid had 5 assists against the Flyers? There was one year I remember he was playing against Torts. And didn't Torts say something about McDavid like previously? I can't remember. This is all
possibly.
I just remember Torts had something in the media about McDavid, and then McDavid went out and had a 5-point night against him.
Whoops.
And kind of pissed him off. And then I believe last year with that rough start for the Oilers, they had a big overtime win against Philly where Drysdale got sat very early in the year last year.
Oh, yeah.
Where Drysdale got sat and then I think scored the overtime winner, and that kind of got them out of, I think that was their first win of the year. So there's been some memorable ones.
That's when Michkov had 2 goals.
Yes. So yeah, there's been some memorable games here at home against Philly.
Right. And Edmonton did play Philly November 12th in Philly. They won that game 2-1 in overtime. Roslovic.
I remember that.
Scored the overtime winner. Remember he had back-to-back overtime winners?
Yep.
We're like, can he do it again?
Mm-hmm.
No.
And then it went to overtime.
It did.
And it was that the Tampa game where he got robbed by Vasilevsky?
That might have been. Let me look at the schedule. That would have been crazy if he got 3 in a row.
Because I'm like pretty sure it went to overtime the next game too. Or no, it was a close game near the end, I think.
No, I think they lost. They were trying to tie it and they couldn't. It was Columbus the next game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was a close game. And then the next game after that went to overtime. Yeah.
Anyway, feels like forever ago. It was just November. Month and a half ago. So yeah, the Oilers and Flyers close out the season series. Do we have Quinn Hudson?
Let me get that real quick. I gotcha.
If you want to, sure, we can do that. We have a few minutes left here, and we can get to a few texts in the meantime. What else? Just trying to catch up in the nasty chat. You guys have been chatty today. Very good. Very good. Maverick says no No suit. No, Maverick, I'm on my way. I'll be at the rink shortly. We had Hello Hockey earlier today, so I'm not going to drive home and then try to get everything set up. But yeah, everything is a lot of weird movement the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, with the holidays
scheduling, holidays, and this and that.
It has been weird.
Yeah, exactly. Todd in Bonnieville chiming in here with a refresher. It was 2 years ago, 6 points, 900th point all time. It was my first Rogers game. Nice, Todd. That would have been great.
That was, yes,
Good one
that
to
was
go
2
to.
years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, now it's remember. The 900th point too. Yeah, I can't remember the quote that Torts had, but it was something along the lines of like something that would be like, oh, that's gonna piss him off. That's gonna piss him off. And then sure enough, like he went off and had a crazy game. Yeah, so I guess that makes it. We have Hudson now.
Okay.
If you would like. All right, so
he's the AHL Rookie of the Month for December.
There you go. Yeah, so here's Quinn Hudson from yesterday.
Playoffs of late, you had 3 straight multi-point outings before today's call-up. Just what you're feeling most strongly about your game?
Yeah, I think obviously the scoring confidence in Bakersfield. I think me and Howie and Szymanski, we've just been playing great together, and I think we've been stringing together a lot of good games.
What were your primary takeaways from your last call-up?
I think, just obviously playing the role I was playing, just getting out there and proving what I could do and playing a safe game, and I think maybe it showed, and I back up here now again, just going to do the same thing and just show that I can play.
What do you think about the line of you and the 2 other young guys with Savoy and Howard here?
I think it'll be fun. I think we all know each other. We've all played together before, so I think it'll just be just fun out there. We'll have fun.
When you get sent down, sometimes the player says, why am I going down? But you didn't sulk or anything, so you take it upon yourself to be a good pro and go down there and show them again why you should be back up.
Yeah, no, I think just keep working hard. Like, obviously, I came to Edmonton for a reason. I think there's a path for me here, and maybe the path is moving faster than I thought, getting called up twice already. But, yeah, I think just keep going down there and working hard and not getting down on myself and just stay confident.
Keith Gretzky told me that they'd asked you to try to kill penalties and do those sort of things. So you look at Savoy and say, okay, that's a path too. If you can kill penalties when you first start out in the NHL, you're going to get a little more race time if you're just
Yeah, I think to break into the NHL, like if you're obviously not a first or top prospect or whatever it is, like you got to find a way to break in. I think killing penalties is super important, being a checker out there and just playing a whole 200-foot game.
Did you kill penalties in college?
Sometimes, here and there. Sometimes.
Fuck all with that.
Yeah.
Other guys did that.
Yeah.
Quinn, how much of the 2 NHL games you had the tail end of last year helped you with your preparation during the offseason? Just like you said, it's just happening a little bit quicker than you.
Yeah, I think just easier transition, just knowing everybody here and them knowing me. I think just walking into a situation that I've been into before, it's just easier to walk into.
What did you find out?
All right, he is straight and to the point. There's Quinn Hudson making his return to the big club. He has 19 goals, 13 assists, 32 points with 28 PIMs, and +3 down in Bakersfield through 26 games. In Edmonton this season, Hudson a goal in limited minutes. Remember, he was getting like 6 to 7.
Did the thing. You did the thing.
I'm sorry.
It sneaks up.
But he actually was.
Yes.
And people were kind of annoyed by that, and I don't blame them. I think the way he went down and continued to stay on fire, fantastic. I think that's a great sign.
And it's not like your depth scoring's been on fire. You need depth scoring right now.
It is not.
You need a fix. And so I'm happy that they're giving them a chance because you got to reassess, head into the deadline, what you need. And if Howard and Hudson can show that they are, solid depth scoring pieces for you,
yep.
then that's one thing you can check off your list. So yeah, I'm happy they're giving them a look.
Okay, Benny, final thing of the pregame show. It is the lineup. We have a confirmed lineup. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl with Podkolzin, good to go today, with Roslovic on the other flank. Henrique between Janmark and Frederick. I would argue that that's the 4th line. Savoy between Howard and Hudson. No Andrew Mangiapane. What'd you tell me when we were listening to Quinn Hudson there?
They're trying to get rid of him.
And what did Dave Pagnotta say on Hello Hockey? They're trying to get rid of him. Yes, there we go. And that's another clear indicator there. So he's probably not a happy camper. I don't blame him. It has not been a good fit, and they're expediting the process, or at least seems like they're trying to when it comes to moving on from Andrew Mangiapane, kind of what we were saying on Monday when we kind of put it out there. Friedman had the news that both sides would want or open to a movement, and then Belzy had the information that the Oilers were giving the agent the green light to talk to other teams to try to find a trade. Now, what Pagnotta said is it's in the Stan Bowman's hands and Jeff Jackson to go and find that deal. So no Andrew Mangiapane today, as the rookies, the young guys, are going to get a shot. Hopefully they play 10 minutes, I would think. I hope that confidence from the AHL from the two guys spills over, and then Savoy feels good playing with those two young guys as well. On defense for the Oilers, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Regula, Stasny with Emerson. Calvin Pickard is your starter in goal. Final thoughts from you, Benny?
Give the kids a damn look, and we'll see how they do tonight or this afternoon. I'm expecting the Oilers win today.
Yeah, good. They've been good against Philly at home. They got the win in Philly earlier in the season. They probably want to bounce back from a less than ideal performance against the Bruins. Again, Philly got their 100%. Butts whipped in Calgary 5-1. So both teams should be a little bit ornery and on edge, and maybe that leads to a good afternoon game. It's all about the rookies and the next gen. It is the next gen game on the ice as well as in and around the building. Going to be a lot of fun. You're going to hear the kids on the PA playing the music, doing the reporting. Fantastic stuff. Big thank you to Siobhan Nolan from the Hockey News in Philly, giving us the scoop on the Flyers. And that's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. I'm on my way to the rink. For Benny, for Cass, I'm Tommy saying enjoy the game. We'll see you on the postgame show.